Welcome! Today you're going to learn some pastel techniques for landscape drawing. Enjoy the video. Today what we are going to do is we're going to add some pastels to our landscape that we drew. When you work with a landscape and you're adding in pastels or colors or paints, you always work backwards. So what I did is I just put in some white over my clouds, a little bit of white at the bottom. I'm going to very softly put some blue at the top around the clouds. I'm going to do a stripe of blue. I'm going to grab a paper towel. I'm going to ball it up. I'm going to polish that blue down. So we don't want to put on a heavy application, and it's okay if that blue gets into some of the white. So I did a little bit of a gradient technique since I had white at the bottom and just a little bit of blue at the top. Pulled that down. Want to just get it to until it's a stain. It's okay if some of that blue goes through the clouds. All right, so I just wanted to work with that. Give it a nice soft pastel-y look. If need be, I could pull in some white back over the clouds. I could pull in some more white at the bottom. And if I wanted the top to be a little bit darker, I could add in a little bit more blue at the top. We don't want to do a very heavy application. We want it to be really dry and thin for what we are doing. Now I'm going to make it purple. So I don't have purple chalk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blue over the mountains, because that's the next layer, and I'm going to do a crosshatch. I'm going to go over it with red, and then I'm going to mix that blue and red together. I'm just going to polish right over those mountains, and that's going to give me a purple look. Now if I wanted it to be any lighter, I could mix in some white. I can scratch that in. If I want to cool down sides, I could add a little bit more blue. And if I want to warm up, for example, a side, I could add in a little bit more red. So if I wanted to give maybe the left sides of the mountains and a couple little patches. So we're going to mix the red and the blue together to make a purple. You could add some white to lighten it up. Cut spots. It's okay to show mark making because we did cross hatching over that. All right. So now I'm going to do this, go over the scribble technique. I'm just going to put down the green. I'm going to go ahead and mix that with this light baby blue. And just do a very light application. You don't even have to complete the application. And grab a new tissue or paper towel. Smear that in. We want that to be really cooled down so it's faded into the background. So I'm going to go over it with a little bit more baby blue. At the top of it, I'm going to add a little bit of white. So I want it to be really cooled down because it's into the background. Okay. Now, in the middle ground, I'm liking the way this is all looking. Into the middle ground, I'm actually going to do my grass first. So we have those stipple clouds that are really soft. We have short upward hatching. So I'm just going to put some upward hatching with my yellow into the grass. Then I'm going to take a yellow green. I'm going to put some more upward hatching. So wherever you think the light would be hitting the ground, and I'm doing this where my light is coming from that corner. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and smear those two things together. I like the way that looks. I could go in and add in some more green. And where shadows would be, I'll add in my darker green at the bottom. And I could put just a couple little random marks here and there with that darker green. Now, if I really wanted to cool this down, I could actually mix blue and green together and create a little bit darker shadows. So don't use any black when you're doing all this. Okay, and I recommend doing these steps because what we'll do is we'll end up layering things. So we'll hide some of these other mistakes that we do. So like if I got some green into that. So you always work backwards. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just do just always follow my mark making, and I'm going to start off with just a darker green for that. Give myself a base coat. Okay. Don't put down a heavy application. You want to be very light with everything that you do. And I'm just going to do a soft brown over that. If you accidentally make a mistake, you could erase it out and go back over it with the color that you want. So we want to give it almost like a watercolor look. Things you could do, you could put a little bit of like a yellow on one side, and you could even give it a little shadowing effect by putting a little bit of blue on the other side, smearing that with the brown. There we go. So the areas that you want darker with that green, you could tap in some blues, like at the bottom of the cluster here, to the side. We could get some variations of green by adding in what makes up green. So yellow and blue make up green. So we could also brighten up or warm up the green. So I'm going to add in some yellow at the top. And on the side, and there we go. So I like the way that's looking. It's looking really nice. So for my sand, I'm going to go ahead and put down some yellow. I'm going to put down this peachy color. I'm going to put in some white and just a little bit of brown. I'll tap in some brown. So I'm going to smear that together. Again, I'm not doing heavy applications. I'm just staining. I'm just staining as I go. Hope you guys were able to see what I did with the sky. Hopefully I didn't move that. Okay, good. So then I could go in and just draw in the grass. All right, so now when I do my water had only horizontal mark making. I'm going to put down blue, and I'm going to make horizontal over those reflections. And just a few little lines here where there are no reflections. I'm going to put in some horizontal mark making with the light. And then when I smear, I'm going to smear horizontally. This will give me a variety of blues, so it'll be a little monochromatic. Now if I wanted to give it a bluish green look, I could add in some greens mixed in there. I don't have to. Anywhere that's lighter, I could go back in and tap in some more white. If I wanted to tap in more blue, I could. But don't overwork it. If it's too much, erase it out and kind of pull it away with the tissue or paper towel. I'm going to go ahead and pull out these lilies. Alright, I'm going to do a little trick with the tree stump. Forgot to stain that, so I'll do that right now. Okay. So I'm actually going to put down yellow here, and as I said, the light's coming from the side. I'm going to just put down a little bit of yellow. I'm going to go down the color wheel. Next, I'm going to put down some orange. Then I'm going to put down some red. Then I'll put red all the way to the edge. Then I'm going to put down some blue for a shadow. So I can mix. This is going to be an underpainting technique. So at the top, that's yellow. On the sides, I'm going to blend all the way through red. I'm going to flip this over so I can get that like that. So this is going to create a really interesting effect. Now I'm going to put down a brown layer over this. So I did what is known as underpainting. Okay, and it will create an interesting shadowing effect by using warmer colors for lighter areas and cool colors for the shadow areas. So it really turns out to be a really neat effect. Again, you cannot do a heavy application because then you'll start smearing. We could go in and do some touch-ups with this. Okay. All right. So with the rocks, I'm gonna put down some white. I'm gonna put down a little bit of baby blue. And I'm gonna give it, I could even mix in some brown in there. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with my yellow green here for the grass in the foreground. I'm gonna go ahead and smear that in. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some mark making. I'm going to just push up with this regular green in some random spots. Don't overwork it because we want to give some variety. Again, we're giving a very soft pastel-y, maybe watercolor look. So again, don't overwork it. I can even tap in some yellow where light's hitting. If I wanted to create a shadow, I could create a little cast shadow just like I did here. Little cast shadow, little cast shadow. You can mix blue and yellow into green. Alright. Now it looks like a little bit of shadowing coming off of that tree stump. So, there you go. That's the basics of how you do this. Just put down a light application. Let me do a quick review here. You'll put white over your clouds, a little bit of blue, white at the bottom, blend, 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 blend. Go back over with white if you want to do that. So you could actually tap in some white at the top of your clouds to get those to really pop up. Pop out, and so if you smeared, then there would already be some blue underneath. Okay, and then what I did is I mixed in blue and red, and I cross-hatched that, smeared it, tapped in some white to lighten it. Okay, with this here, I ended up using baby blue and green and white. Okay, started off with yellow down first in that grass, and then I did some yellow green, smeared that in, and then I tapped in some variations. Here I went in with my regular green, okay, and then I warmed up sides with yellow, anywhere that I wanted to warm it up, and then shadow areas I tapped in with some blue and regular greens. Okay, so again, we want everything to be light, shadowy. I recommend using a paper towel, unlike me getting my hands all dirty. I mixed in various colors, some white to yellow to a tan, peach color, mixed that in. Then I went back into my grass and pulled out that color. I darkened in the reflections with blue. I put white into the lighter areas, and then I smeared horizontally. Just remember that's all supposed to be blue and smear horizontal. I always recommend mark making with the same direction from what you're doing. And then I'm going to warm this up a little bit. Those water lilies, and get those to pop a little bit. And then I did some upward hatching. Started off with a lighter yellow green and smeared that, and then I went in and I popped in some of my regular green, and then I used blue and green for a shadow effect over here. Sometimes you need to take a break and wash your hands, and that's okay. Sometimes you need to erase things out. And what you could do when this is all done is you can get some fixative, workable fixative, and spray it. Do it outside, okay, inside of a box. Follow the directions. Anytime that you use a material, follow the directions. You could get cheap hairspray and spray it if you want to save it. So those are some options that you could do to save your landscapes, okay? Save your landscapes. So there you go. That's how you use chalks with a landscape. Enjoy. Thank you for watching my video today. Do something amazing with this knowledge. Make something for somebody. Give it to them. Put a smile on their face. And as always, be a good person.